Hey guys, ever gone to your grandmother's house and seen those colorful blankets on the back of her couch and just kind of wondered how the heck was that even made? Well, I'm here to show you. It's actually called crochet, and it's something that's been around for about 300 years. It's a French word that actually means to hook. So here's me, Tommy, your local hooker, to show you how it's done. Today, we're going to go over some of the basics. I'm going to show you some of the yarns that you're going to encounter and some of the reasons you might use those, as well as a couple of the hooks that you'll go ahead and find out there in the wild, and then we'll go ahead and jump into some of the basics so you can get started. So, without further ado, let's talk yarn. First, when it comes with yarn, you'll find two basic types out there. You're going to find your naturals as well as your synthetics. Your natural yarns are going to be things that you'll find in nature, so you're going to find things that are plants as well as things that come from animals. Plants are going to be things like cotton, stuff like that. You'll also find animals, which are going to go ahead and be things like silk, mohair, wool, things like that. So, a couple of the reasons that you might find and use those items. Cotton, for example, is really, really good for the summer. Being that it's breathable and moisture wicking, a lot of your t-shirts are going to be made of cottons. These are actually knitwears that are machine done, completely different skill. But they are going to be really, really good for your summer clothes, your tops, bathing suits, cover-ups, things like that. On the other hand, when it comes with your winter wear, animal fibers are going to be your friend. Those are typically going to be retaining a lot of heat. Animals typically have that hair so that way they can last through the colder months, and that's why we go ahead and put those into things like our hats, our scarves, our gloves, our mittens, things like that. Animal fibers are also going to be really, really beneficial because they are antibacterial and antimicrobial, because you don't want to wash them a whole bunch of times, because animals obviously in nature don't bathe a whole bunch. They naturally come with those really nice properties which helps them last over time, being that they are a little bit more touchy when it comes with how you wash them. You don't want to wash them every time you wear them, like your cotton garments that you're going to use. Cotton's really good for holding up to wash, whereas wools and animal fibers, you don't really want to put those in your machine. Synthetic fibers, on the other hand, are completely different. The nice thing about them is they are very, very forgiving with how you use them. You're going to find typically acrylics, think polyesters, nylons, things like that. Those are all going to be synthetic fabrics. Acrylics are really, really good for just about everything else. Not only can you wear them, but they're also really durable. They're going to hold up to a lot of wear and tear. They're not going to fray as much. You can throw them in your machine. They're really, really nice for that. The only downside to them is they can typically tend to be a little bit worse for heat and stuff like that. You don't want to wear them in the wintertime because they're not going to maintain that body temperature that you're going to need like wool will. And obviously you're not going to want to use them for your oven. Plastics, they're going to go ahead and melt. So obviously you don't want pot holders melting on your hands when you're using them in your oven. So now that we've gone over some yarns and some of the reasons you might use them, let's go over some of the hooks that you'll find. So some of them out there are going to be things like wood, you'll find things like plastic, you'll find others like metal, and then my favorites are actually going to be acrylic, or going to be resins. With that being said, now that we've gone over some of the hooks that you'll find out there, let's get stitching. First and foremost, you're going to want to find yourself a nice yarn that you're going to want to use. Typically, if you find a color that you really, really like, that's going to spark the best inspiration. You already know what you're going to want to make with it. You just got to go ahead and get started with it. I typically don't recommend really, really light or really, really dark colors for beginners. They're just really hard to see your stitches. Whites and blacks are terrible for beginners. Even someone who's been doing this for almost 10 years, sometimes I still struggle with those blacks. So let's go ahead and get started with some of your basic stitches. What you're going to want to do, we're going to bring it in just a little bit closer so you can see what's going on in my hands. So you're going to go ahead and take your yarn. You're always going to want to use your right hand. Some of you might be left-handed out there like I am, but I promise you it's so much easier to do it with your right hand. 99.9% of patterns out there are written for right-handed people, and that's just what you want. So in your right hand, you're going to take your little tail end of your yarn, the one that's not connected to your ball, hold it in your palm. You're going to wrap the yarn once around your finger and twice. You'll know you got it right because you've got two little loopies on your finger. You're going to take the one closest to your knuckle, pull it over that first loop. From there, you're going to take that one again closest to your knuckle and pull it over that second loop. And you're going to create what's called a slip knot. reason it's called a slip knot is because if you pull it, it slips right out. So we'll just do that one more time for you. In your palm, wrap once and twice, over and over, and then pull tight for your slip knot. We'll go ahead and take your hook and slip it in, and then pull tight. Nice and tight. From there, we're going to go ahead and get hooking. So you'll go ahead and do the basic stitch, which is called a chain. You're going to yarn over your hook, turn your hook down towards the floor, and pull it through the loop. We'll show you that again. You're going to yarn over your hook, turn your hook towards the floor, make sure your hook catches on that yarn and pull it through that loop. And you're just going to keep doing that. Yarn over, hook towards the floor, pull through. Yarn over, hook towards the floor, pull through. Yarn over, hook towards the floor, go through. Any pattern that you encounter is typically going to go ahead and start with a chain. That's how you know how big your project's going to be. If it's going to be a chain 12, that means that you've done 12 of these little bumps, and it's going to be pretty small. However, if you do like a chain 30, 60, 90, 100, it's going to get way, way bigger. You know you've got it right because you're going to go ahead and see all these cute little V's that are going to show. And with that, we've gone over some of the basics on how you crochet. Today, not only did I go ahead and talk to you about the kind of yarns that you're going to encounter, some of the hooks that you'll find, but we've also shown you the basics on how to get started. So I hope to see you out there and get hooking.